Yeah, I did. I've pressed go, and thank goodness,
Yes.
it didn't start when he just said something. So I'm just going to leave you at that, dear viewer. But thank goodness it started after that had happened. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. To give a little bit of a clue what we were talking about or what he might have said, we were beginning to talk around this one. Which was this report? Oh gosh, look at the adverts popping up.
That's
Oh,
a
what a
beautiful ad.
glorious modern world we live in. U.S. Commerce Department drops plan to impose restrictions on Chinese-made drones. And the world went mad, saying, hooray, hooray, there is no DJI ban. When in actual fact, it was just this lot saying, oh, look, the FCC's done our job. Therefore, we don't have to seem like the bad guys anymore. We got very excited about this and didn't read between the lines and jumped straight. So I'm just looking at that guest house there. That's incredibly cheap, $8.50. Should we click it and see? The advertising worked. Oh, look, it's not changing. It's opening another window.
Gary's gone all Airbnb on us now.
Yes, he does that on purpose to do that dramatic pose.
I do.
Yeah.
It is.
And the script it says pause for effect. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's our thoughts about this? I mean, that's my take on it, that they just don't need to worry.
I think I'll just say my piece before Bruce does, but I'll just say that I think that every drone, every new unit that comes out, that goes to, I think the DJI and Autel and whoever, they will push their drones through to see if they will get it. And it will be audited at the time, and I think that they will just say no until you remove this, no until you do this, and I think that at some point that this is their way to get them to do what they wanted to do. So I think that yes, there will be a ban, but I think that they will really scrutinize the drones, or let's say the components, and they will go through it every time. And then you might find, I have a feeling, you heard it here first, I have a feeling that some, if not all, will be approved. Let's see.
It's a bold statement.
I'm just putting that up there for the record. Let it be shown. I didn't say any further to that. I think it's a very bold statement. I just think they're bad.
See, the heat hasn't improved his internet any.
No.
Talking to no one. I'm not here. I'm not talking, am I?
Yeah, you're back now.
I'm back now. It's like it's almost like it's uphill to send the data up there. I think they're banned. I think if America's still there when in a year's or two's time, then there may be some changes. But I think that's that for now.
Yeah, they made changes. The FCC made those changes, though, to the covered list, because I think the domestic industry said, hey, we can't build any drones if we can't import motors from China. And this isn't the blue list people. This is just the domestic market. I mean, the drone manufacturers, they couldn't build anything because very few of the parts, critical parts, they need are made in the USA. And even if they are, they're not made in enough volume to meet the demand. If the domestic drone industry has to ramp up to replace the fact that no more new imported drones are coming in, they've got to be able to get the bits. And the FCC, with its covered list, effectively cut that off at the border. So they've had to wind it back and say, as it says here, if you're building something domestically, and as long as 60% of the value is domestic, you can import the rest, which is common sense.
Yeah.
Well, they've got to, because Trump's sons for autopilots have got Chinese bits in them. They've got.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder how many of the other parts would really need the Chinese parts as well, because if they don't have that, then they're just not going to get it. And who's going to build it?
Yeah. But it shows you what happens when you make decisions from a position of ignorance and idiocy. You always have to wind them back. CAA in New Zealand does the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hello, Ian. You've been well. The two of you have been ill the last couple of weeks. I don't know what it's all about. And I was talking to Stephen. He was telling me it was in north of where he lives. It was minus 43, I think you said, and it was plus 40 here today. So a very a pretty significant 83-degree temperature difference. It's quite a thing, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know where I don't know where my hamster food is. I don't know why this keeps dropping out. But Ian, you're here.
I just want to say before we go to Ian, I just want to say when I was messaging you guys the other day, I think it was last week, when I was flying in minus 21.5. I was flying the DJI Mavic 3 Enterprise. No problem at all. No problem. Absolutely no problem. It even, you know, I think the battery was being used a little bit more, but at minus 21.5, it still performed completely and utterly without any problems at all. The only problem was the operator. And I sat in the car. I had to sit in the car because it was so damn cold.
Yeah.
The drone.
Well, I hope you maintain BV loss at all. V loss at all.
You maintain BV loss.
I maintained V loss the whole time because it was a very, very small area that I was flying.
So it
was a very small area.
Should have flown better. Air's more dense.
Yeah, but but of course, there was no massive battery degradation. I kept everything at good temperature, and when it was up there, it obviously kept warm. But it just shows, and I was thinking about this, that of course, whatever happens in the changes and whoever happens to have new kind of let's say equipment and how that performs. This was amazing, because I didn't really have to worry about it, So, but yeah, it just shows when it's 21.5, the drone just performed perfectly,
If you had one of those new solid state batteries that have worked down to minus 40, those fake ones that they've been pitching at CES.
Well, you could say, were you leaning into battery technology there?
a little bit, because I think this Donut Lab, which is a Finnish company, by the way, which is a Finnish company, and the guy Mikko what's his name, Lehtinen or something. His name is Lehtivaari. There's been so much going on, and I don't know if you ever seen the other one that was going on. It was a Finnish company called Willow or something, and they are doing wireless technology. There was the other one at CES, and they won an award at CES. I've been actually working with them. I've been doing some consultancy with them, and they were doing this wireless technology. And it was actually funny because they've been doing this thing at CES, and they've been getting quite a lot of attention. I went to visit them when they'd done the first ever demonstration of this wireless thing, and they had this massive box, right? It was a huge box. I don't know, it was maybe about half a meter by half a meter, and it was like a 3D box, and they had wireless kind of conductors on the walls of this box, and then they put a drone in. So they actually had a Parrot Anafi, which we had got from Dronisos, because we were working on Dronisos doing wireless charging, and that was the project. So we put this drone in there, and I had to stand at the other side of the room because they wouldn't let me go near it because it was so powerful, and I had to leave my phone outside because it was so secret, and I had to stand. And then they put this on, and they had the light go on, which was showing it was charging. But now, that's been about a year and a half. It's been 18 months since I've seen that demonstration, and now they're at CES and they've been getting some attention with that. So the Donut and the Willow thing has been doing things, and it does work. But the Donut thing, I don't know. I have no clue. I've got some friends I know who said they have seen it, and they've said that it does work and it is real, but that remains to be seen, of course.
Yeah, unless you can actually grab one yourself and put it through some tests. If they're going to show the tests, it's pretty easy to. And that guy that's behind this, didn't he invent super intelligence a while back?
Yeah.
Yes. How's that going? That adds a little bit of skepticism to the whole thing. As I said last week, solid state batteries, they've been promising for a long time. Toyota started working on them years ago, and Toyota was supposed to be manufacturing by 2026, but I see no sign of that, because everyone gets to 90%. That last 10% is like, it's the half of a half of a half. As you start moving forward, you never get to the end. There's just a lot of issues, a lot of problems to be dealt with, which are not easy to solve.
Well, yeah, but it's only the first couple of weeks of 2026. I mean, give them a chance.
They said by 2026.
That means just come back from Christmas holidays. Come on, be fair.
What do you mean? It's October, isn't it? Oh, that's right. You're in a different part of the world.
But I think what's interesting is, and sorry, we should have been going to Ian by now, but I'll just finish off. But I think what's interesting is that one of the investors and one of the shareholders and board members of this donut lab is the former CEO of Nokia. So the guy that was really heavily involved in, I mean, he's like a really big name. He's like a huge, and he's that kind of seal of approval in a sense. So if this doesn't work, if this turns out to be a con or a scam or whatever, it's really going to affect the tech side industry in Finland here, because because his name being attached to this was quite a hefty weight, let's say,
Now, Ian's here, a lovely Syrian, and perhaps you can explain, why has the UK gone mad, as Sima Dragon nicely mentioned earlier? Why has it gone mad for night flying at 120 meters?
Wake up, Ian.
I don't know.
Oh, don't you?
Okay, well, that's fair enough. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on to the next thing. Yeah.
The only thing that I've really spotted that frustrating me is with the night flying thing, because obviously I've been banging on about the fact that when I saw that the CIA wanted to put a strobe on, that really we should use the opportunity to just knock all these stupid false drone sightings on the head. Which, to do that, all you need is a unique colour, and that you ask that it's a strobe that can be seen at distance, and then you can say, when you've got that person that's calling up near Lake and Heath going, I'm near an airbase and I'm seeing lights and hearing aircraft noises, it must be 20 drones from Russia. You can say, do these 20 drones that you see, are they flashing, I don't know, a pink light, whatever colour? And then you could say, and what is the pattern there? Can you tell us what the pattern's like? And someone can look at it and go, that's Morse code for you. Oh, it's a drone. It's actually a drone for once. But so basically, the thought was, well, use a unique color and or strobe a pattern, because the French had come up with this previously, and I was quite surprised the French had come up with a good idea, which was to flash strobes and using the Morse code letter U. So then, because it doesn't even matter if just your witnesses have saying something, it helps with that. But someone gets video, and then any of us could just look at it and go, yeah, we can see that it isn't a drone. And so, and credit to ARPAS on this, because they did put this forward as well to the CIA and said, this is an opportunity to do something. And then what happens? We get, this is what the funny thing that turned out as well was, the legislation that had been put there before for a strobe had said you to put a strobe on, but they've missed out the fact that the legislation didn't say that it had to be turned on. So we basically you've got a
passive strobes are big
on your drone, but you don't have to turn it on. But then now we've got it. So the wording is such that you don't have to put a proper strobe on. It is just a flashing light. So a manufacturer can have an existing light on the drone that can be seen at a bugger all distance, and they can just flash it green, and it meets the legislation. And anyone could just buy any old crappy light that can only be seen for, say, 5 meters, and it passes the legislation, or regulation that you've put in place. And it's like, well, what is the point? Even the ARSA wording's not brilliant, because it doesn't say it's to be seen for X number of miles, or it doesn't say it's got to be X strength, but it does say that the purpose of it is to be seen from the ground, where you can differentiate a drone from manned aviation. So the wording's good enough where if you were a police officer that was in court and you put something on that wasn't properly visible, you can say, look, mate, it doesn't meet this, you're in bother. So you kind of get people sticking on a proper visible strobe at distance, because the wording is such that it's telling you that's the purpose. Where the CAA doesn't, it just says it's a flashing green light. And I don't understand why, when we've had this opportunity to do something where we can stop false sightings, that it hasn't really been properly embraced, and we've had very robust wording. And I think this is, it might just go back to that general problem with the CIA, that they don't like being specific. They like everything woolly, and I don't know why that is. It might be because it's like, oh well, we can scope creep this, we can make it into something,
and they can use selective enforcement.
Yeah. You can basically make your enforcement more flexible and overzealous and unreasonable by the fact that you haven't put specifics down. And if it has been that mindset in there, well, it's backfired because it's done the exact opposite. But it just frustrates me. I don't understand why we can't just be very specific about things, because it causes frustration. Well, because with the commercial operators, and most of the people do want to comply and do want to do the right thing, but you make that very hard when you don't put the word in such that you can fully interpret it, and different people can look at it and have different opinions and different reasons. We've had that over the entire length of the drone industry, of people arguing, usually on Facebook, backwards and forwards over the interpretation of some wording.
Yeah.
And I really wish we could just get past that.
And do you really think the Russians? Do you think the Russians are going to get their flyer ID and their operator ID and put a green light on their drones? It's not going to make any difference.
Well, no. The point with that is, as we know, Russia doesn't fly drones with lights on, but
no.
This myth has been put out there and it's being used. And fair play, people are bringing this up, and it's like, oh, it's conspiracy theory. It's not. It's a plain observation, and fair play to them to point it out. NATO has been using this thing to push spending and make an alarm.
Yes.
They keep saying any lights in the sky. Well, it's a Russian drone. It's like, no, it's not. And all the stuff that's already been disproven, like with Brussels, we've had Copenhagen, where the airport itself has even said, you know, they know they've made a mistake. They know they've likely done a trade.
Oh, hang on.
No,
I think I just heard.
No, you're just telling me all clear. All clear.
Oh, okay. There's an aircraft gone by there.
Yeah. It was tracking one, but it's gone.
It's gone. I'm glad. But are you sure it wasn't a drone?
No green light.
Okay, fair enough.
So even though we've had these incidents where we know there wasn't a drone, we know there wasn't a Russian drone, these things still kept getting brought up. So Ireland's been
there, isn't it?
Shocking from a journalistic viewpoint. The journalists over there keep putting Brussels, Copenhagen. They keep specifying all the ones where we can clearly say, wait a minute, it wasn't a drone, but nobody cares. And as we know, we were getting angry before Christmas about the fact, again, they were making all this nonsense up about the ships that Russia has going about with the oil or cargo or whatever else, saying there's drones on board. And as we see now, the US is just going to take in all the tankers. No one's said, hey, look, here's a drone we found.
Yeah.
You'd heard by now, wouldn't you? While we're on, oh, by the way, we found all these large.
Well, the trouble is, mightn't we? We might yet, because it might be taken to America for inspection, and in a week or two's time, oh look, it's 1:15. We found a runway. It's just to be added. Yeah, and I saw an infographic today of the sightings and the misdirections in Europe that just named it as fact. But that's yesterday's news. What about this week's news, which is DJI updating things magically and mythically?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I've said that you don't own your DJI drone. I mean, you just, that's why you have to log in regularly so they can take functionality away that you've paid for. No, you're not having that anymore. Pretty soon they'll be saying, well, you can keep flying your drones, but there'll be a monthly subscription, I'm afraid. You know, this is the way the world's going, isn't it? You own nothing and you're happy. I mean, it's backdooring. I think Ian the other Ian said, it's backdooring. They're just, because there was no announcement, there was no opt-in or opt-out. It was just, we're changing things without your permission, without your knowledge. You'll just find out what's going on, because there are many legal situations when you want to fly more than 120 meters. If you're standing at the bottom of a hill, you want to fly up to the top of the hill, you can legally do that. If the hill's 300 meters high, you can legally do it, because you'll always be less than 120 meters from the ground directly beneath you. But under the new situation, there's not even a request permission anymore. It's just a dead stop. No, not allowed.
We should. I mean, I've not actually tested this yet because I've been off sick and stuff like that. So, but I mean, we should be able to fly higher than 120 meters, because well, I mean, I know that when we are flying, for example, the wind turbines, they are 250, 270 meters high, and we have to fly that height. So we have to be able to fly that height, and we are allowed to fly that. We don't even have to ask permission, because it's just, the owner of the structure gives you permission, so you can fly next to that. So,
but you're not flying C0 drones doing that, though, are you?
No. We're flying
C0.
Someone could.
Right.
Someone could be doing sort of inspection work with a C0 drone in the UK. I mean, not professionally, but if they want to look at something, they legally can do it. But
I do think that there is an argument for the C0 drones being able to do that, and I know that there are people who are doing building inspections and stuff like that, and they have no choice but to use a C0 drone. I know that Aztec. Mark Lee, for example, he uses C0 drones all the time. I don't know if he's flying higher than 120 meters, but he would be entitled to fly higher than 120 meters if the structure is that high or even higher. So he would be allowed to fly that, and I don't even think he has to even apply for permission, because it's just that you are allowed to do that if you have permission from.
Can I jump in for a second then? So obviously someone hasn't paid attention to this. So we're saying DJI, although there's been loads of stuff going on, you can't pay attention to everything that's going on at once. So there's been other important things. So are we saying that DJI's put a software update out that's, and this is very important when I ask this as well, because I'll tell you something about this. So are we saying that DJI's put software out that's actually limiting the height, so you can't go above it? Well, that's good, because a lot of people do the stupid flying up high. But the funny thing is, years ago, I had this on Twitter with Brendan, and because there was Muppets flying up really high, and I said, put it in the software, stop people doing it. And Brendan was arguing with till he was blue in the face that DJI couldn't do it.
Well, not just that they did it, but they did it silently. So I bet in the terms of
people wouldn't update the software otherwise. That's the way. I love that. Exactly the way.
But you can't keep. But like with DJI, with the Fly app, certainly on the RCN2, if you don't log in with every few months or something, it won't let you fly more than 50 meters away or more than 20 meters high. You have to log in to actually continue to use your drone, and that's why I think that the US Department of Justice, and that's dead right, because why do they need to have you log in? It's like, what are they downloading you don't know about? It's like, you don't own your drone, you really don't. And speaking of, like we spoke before about the FCC and the covered list and the changes, I don't think CAA New Zealand has realised the effect that its recent rule changes have had, because previously with the shielded operation, you could fly no taller than the nearest object within 100 metres. Now you can fly 10 metres above the tallest object within 100 metres. So if you're in a flat field, you can fly up to 10 metres.
From a commercial operator's viewpoint, though, you could still use the unlock process that DJI has if they wanted to do so.
When Ian tested it, the unlock didn't work. There was no unlock facility.
Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't stop them adding it, though. That was the point. Is if you're doing something like this, and I know there's commercial operators where you can get a permission to fly higher, then if I was DJI, I would have been. And I know I might have had this discussion as part when we're having this chat with Brendan, but I'm sure that with that you could have it as part of the unlock where you could fly higher. But the point is, we know it's 100% fact that there are people that are flying at least several hundred feet into the thousands of feet near airports. So,
I've heard airline pilots report them at 20,000 feet. So
yeah, I mean,
real idiots out there.
aren't there, but I know as fact some of them are there because I know someone who's got an aeroscope near an airport, and this has come up quite a few times. So you've got a small minority, but because they don't get enforced, they get left to do it, which itself's an issue. But putting that aside, we've got the small minority that do it, and they keep on doing it because no one's doing it about them. So if you put it in the software so they can't do it, it is one way of dealing with it. Personally, I think you should just enforce on those people and stop them doing it and make an example out of them, and then job's done. But
so why do they remove geofencing then? I mean, you've got no XY geofencing, but you've got Z or no Y arrow fencing. You know, your geofencing works for, you know, lateral coordinates, but not vertical. So are you going to have geofencing or not?
I think a lot of geofencing, but I think a lot of the geofencing wasn't true geofencing because there were locations that were not even valid, and there were some locations where you were allowed to fly where you shouldn't be allowed to fly. So I think it was, and I think that this is kind of showing responsibility that they just take it away, and you should just learn it and obviously educate yourself. When it comes to the C0 drones, I'm not really wanting to offend anyone or piss anyone off here, but I don't see.
Here he goes.
Yeah.
I think that doing the height limitation with the C0 drones is not a bad thing. It's not the worst thing in the world because most of them are these sub 250s, and it's your people who are just flying recreationally. You don't need to fly over 120 meters. I do understand if there are people that cannot use C1 or C2 or C3 drones and they have to use a C0 drone, and they may have to fly over 120 meters, and now they can. Well, that's kind of how it goes, you know. So it's just one of those things where you just have to deal with it, you know.
But it's another thing that we saw it coming. So Ian, but you didn't see it coming. It was for the so the CAA, and this is the one that they've not seen. So everyone's jumping up and down about it because this is the interim bridge to the UK markings, the UK classifications. Now, to my knowledge, they haven't set up a testing station yet, or they haven't decided how that's going to work. Well, you're quite what they think of the auditors, indeed.
Oh, they shut him up, eh?
Gary's shocked. Gary has that shock look about him.
Yeah.
Yes, you know what I said.
Someone tasered him.
Yeah, I'm my back. But it to me, it just points to the lack of drone education, or they haven't got that bit right. We've got to start getting that bit right. We knew this was coming. We know why it happened. Why people shouldn't be upset. That's what it was.
Yeah, but it's the way they rolled it out sneakily. That was the thing. They should have just had in the update list. You know, it should have been documented, and it should have been. Maybe they should have given an opt out. And if you opt out, then your details are forwarded to the CAA.
But Bruce,
go ahead with your story, Mikey. Tell us about it.
Do you think that even if they would have warned us about it, even if they would have informed us about it, do you really think that the public would have read about it, would have understood it? Because the public,
but they couldn't have complained then.
Oh, yeah, true.
Because as this is, they've said to the president, we will make changes that we're not going to tell you about. And some of them may be good, some of them may be bad, but you'll never know about some of them. So if you're trying to convince the US government that, we're super safe, you know, we're not a threat to national security, and in other countries you start changing stuff without telling people, it's pretty hard to back that up, isn't it?
It's not in here, though, because you're doing something that you say for safety, so...
This time, but what about all the other times? It's not what they did; it's the way they did it that is the important issue.
Yeah, that's not going to work. Your FAA or that they're not going to care less. They're going to just be happy about the outcome.
No, because what other things are changing though that they don't know about? It's not the FAA; it's national security. It's the Homeland Security people. They're the ones who are going to be concerned about this. How easily that can be done.
They're not going to worry about the fact that you put a restriction in there because you could do that anyway as part of an update.
No, but they may change it so that it sends all the data files back to China without telling anyone.
Yeah, but it's not.
That's what they're worried about.
Well, if it was, they'd be arguing
it may pass an audit today, but tomorrow it could be completely different because they can do these silent updates.
Well, I did rather think that it exposed that. It did rather expose that was possible. Everyone's been saying, "No way, I can't touch my drone." Da 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 da. Oh look, Oh, as if easy wizzy, as if by magic. Yeah.
Yeah. And when the war breaks out, when the war between China and the USA breaks out, you'll start your drone, it won't even take off. They'll disable it, hit the kill switch. Just like they're going to do with the solar panels and all that other stuff, you know. I read the conspiracy threads.
I thought you wrote them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, just proofread them then. Yeah.
Proofread them. Now, this isn't going to work because my internet's going to drop out. But I saw a pretty frightening thing earlier in the week.
You've been on my OnlyFans page again.
I've been on your OnlyFans page again. Here it is. Now, thank goodness Stephen's here. He's our man. So what did you do wrong, Stephen? It must have been your fault.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, this is definitely fake. It's absolutely fake. You know, one thing is that you can see the crowd are actually underneath the drones there. This doesn't look like it's in Asia. It looks like it would be in Europe or the US or something, just because people are wearing jackets and stuff like that. So I would assume that it's somewhere in Europe or the US. And you would never be allowed to be that near. You would never be that close because you would be at least 100 meters away from the drones that are flying. At least 100 meters. That's usually the minimum that we have. And I noticed that when the camera moves over, that there's already drones on the ground there as well, which is a bit of a giveaway. It's quite good. It's a very good fake, I have to say. It looks like some of these, shows that I've done where you have all this, movement and stuff like that, and the drones are doing what they should do, but they're all coming down. So if they were all coming down, the entire fleet would come down. So, but the way that those drones are coming down, it looks very fake. Drones would not come down that way, and if they would come down that way, the entire fleet would come down that way. So yeah, it is fake, but it's good. It's a good one, I have to say.
It seems a lot of dust kicked up from a concrete surface.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's your AI for you.
Yeah.
I was trying to get down to the views, but I think it was 7 million or something like that.
Oh, I think it's nothing.
But actually, one other thing which really gave it away was you sent this to me, Gary, a few nights ago, a few days ago. But it had already been out for about 24 hours. I noticed within the comments that it had been out for 24 hours. And if that was real, we would know about it. Before. We would have known about it long before. The community, the people I know and that would have been that would have been used. So, but which is also a giveaway as well.
Yeah, well, it was a good one. I thought it was a good one. It was very well made. Outflying visit. What's this? What are we saying here? Mansion. Oh dear, Mikey's Outdoor Adventures. That's just welcome to the drone world. That's very, very standard. Shouty people. Very, very shouty.
It'll be a gentleman that identifies as Karen.
Yes. Unfortunately, this is becoming a little bit more common. I think I mentioned this on like a previous. Still talking away. I think I mentioned this in a previous live show here a few weeks ago, but I was talking with one other company here in Finland, and they're doing a lot of power line inspections, and he said that since these kind of sightings in October or end of September, since that time, the amount of abuse or confrontations that he's been getting has actually risen a lot. It has risen more since the end of September, from if you want to call them Karens, that people are just paranoid and stuff and come out and they shout that you're obviously rushing, all the rest of it, blah, blah, blah. But that wasn't happening, beforehand. And again, I made this response to the news in Finland at the end of September and stuff. So the news the press hasn't helped by stirring the pot, and people are obviously behaving like this, and they are actually making confrontations. And of course, I know that Mickey, he's more of a hobby and he does his videos and stuff like that. But when you have guys that are out there working and they have, the jackets on and they have the cones and all the rest of it, and they have a time because at this time of year, you're really fighting against the light because you don't have much light. The sun rises at 9:30 in the morning and the sun sets at 3:30. So you've got a very limited amount of time to capture what you need to capture. And when you have to deal with all that crap, it's just a nightmare, So make sure.
So you can't fly at night because you don't have a green flashing strobe.
We don't have a green flashing strobe.
But it's true that the media has vilified us so much now. Unfortunately, I live in a small town. Everybody knows me. So if I'm out flying my drone, all I hear is "G'day, Bruce." But people in larger centres where you have the anonymity, I mean, I've heard a lot of reports of people saying that the public sentiment is now so negative that they are reluctant to fly in an area where they'll encounter the public, which is bad because it means that from the hobby side, it disappears from the public view. And suddenly you don't have people becoming introduced to the hobby, and it just dwindles away and dies out. So I'm surprised the hobby hasn't started some more positive PR spins. I'm going to go down to the local park with a spare set of goggles in the next few weeks and just give everyone that wants a ride around our lake by drone and show them what's going on. And I think it should be done widely everywhere. Everyone should be doing this, all the clubs and all the groups doing this to get over that negative reputation we've got thanks to the damn media. But it shouldn't have got that way. There's no one pushing back against the media except Ian and myself. But when they publish negative stories, where are all the hobby groups, BMFA and the AMA? They don't do a damn thing. And it really is annoying because they look after their members, but they don't look after the hobby.
But I think that's mainly down to funds and stuff like that. And then if you have an organization,
no,
there's no funds involved. It's people with their time.
But I think these larger organizations, they need to look after their own. They need to look after their own reputation.
Sure.
And it's rather difficult because, let's say, a lot of these people tend to be older, and it's not for them to do these kind of public things and deal with the PR and deal with the positive or negative from it. It really needs to be well planned out, and you need to have someone strong. You have to have someone strong and confident there, and go. Obviously, Bruce, you know what you're doing. You know how to deal with people. I'm the same as well. But it's not for everyone. And you have all these clubs, and you have people that have been doing this for years, and you put them in the limelight, and they just fold. So when you have people coming up and they're asking questions, they don't know how to deal with that, and that's when you get the negativity. You need to have someone who really knows how to communicate and know how to show this and have a look at that and do this, and we can do this, and but that's not for everyone, unfortunately.
No, and the problem is that they don't realize that if they don't change things, then their own membership is going to drop off because no new members, no exposure to the hobby and so forth. And that's a real shame. But I loved the AMA put out a video saying, we should have been exempted because we fly line of sight models and we're the least risk to national security. Well, why didn't you say that way back when Section 336 came along instead of letting Rich Hansen sleep through the whole damn thing?
It's true though.
Well, it is true, but they've also got to be brave enough. But then you mentioned money, but that's why SNS News doesn't make a fortune, because we annoy people, so nobody dares come near us. But somebody has to say it. So somebody in the organisation has to say something. Somebody in the BMFAs or whatever.
The industry has to employ somebody to do this. So someone's going to have to put their hands in the pocket, and no one's done it today. And this is the problem: is DJI used to do this. They used to do a lot of stuff behind the scenes to try and push back. So, because we know, for example, they should have put it into Ofcom. What they did do a complaint to the BBC when they did the Panorama and they did Horizon. But but there's so little of that going on. Because I noticed actually with the stuff with Europe, obviously we were getting a lot of bad nonsense with that with the BBC. But once, and it was only a small number of us again that put complaints in and took them to Ofcom. Even though I've not heard back from Ofcom to know if they have slapped the BBC on the hand or not. The moment that happened, still, the BBC, the reporting after that, well, we didn't see any more helicopters being put on the news. And the wording to me looked like it had been a little bit more dialed back a bit, more of like suspected, alleged kind of wording, rather than more matter of fact as it was being reported. So I think it did actually have some impact, but we need to keep that going. So we need to, unfortunately, as individuals, so people that commercial operators, keen hobbyists, and so on, need to complain when you see these things. Do IPSO complaints.
But haven't we actually been saying this for how long have we been doing this? Haven't we been saying this for 5 or 10 years? There's no advocacy.
The problem.
I was just able to one step, and then you can jump in. I was saying there was no, at least from DJI, but because DJI's been made this villain in the US, obviously Brendan moved on, and they've had no desire to be fighting that battle because they're thinking, well, we've got to worry about ourselves for now. So their focus is all on that and not on the wider industry anymore. No one else has stepped up. So this is a bit frustrating for all those companies in America that are looking to make the money. Where's your Skydios or anyone? Where'd you bring anyone? That's
but there's also this for people that might want to moan, and it'll put their business in jeopardy. And then that's about equitable skies, isn't it?
There isn't. What you can still do as a commercial operator, though, if you just complain to the BBC, that's not going to wind up anyone like the CAA. So you can still do that. But yes, you can't make. I wouldn't be comfortable if I was a commercial operator in the UK of trying to make a noise about the CAA making a bad decision or the DFT, because they don't seem to be particularly professional about accepting feedback, which is a shame because you ought to be.
Watch last week's episode.
We'd all be happier and people will be less grumpy when they paid the fees at the end of the year if they could bring up issues about things that they feel are unfair or haven't been fully considered. But we have that problem where the CA's already made decisions by the time we have these consultations that are never consultations. They're just trying to trick everybody into ticking the right box so they can say, we've done what you asked, when they never had any intention of doing so. And until that mindset changes, it is going to be frustrating. So yes, I understand that from commercial operators' viewpoint, and I'd be the same mindset. But we do have to challenge the press, which is a separate thing, and keep on doing it because it's the only way it will change. Because the thing is, they've got other things now where they can do hysteria about, because it's AI. I've noticed actually, which I'm getting tomorrow, so you'll see on next week's show. But I'm getting the Meta glasses. Now they're a pretty recent thing, so normal glasses, but they will record video, and you can use them with the AI, so they'll speak to you for the you can hear the volume, so you can hear the speak, so it'll tell you stuff when you ask it. But already today, the BBC's done a scare story on those, so they'll continue on. So there are new things that they're going to be creating hysteria about. But unfortunately, drones, as we keep noting, just has never moved past it. He's always still that continual attack on it, which we just haven't managed to overcome. But if we do keep putting complaints in, they will think, it's so much, we get so many complaints and it's so much grief. We'll just do another story on the glasses. If we might make it less of an incentive to do it, because there's so many more hysterical things. And on that note, actually, there's a great piece today which people in the UK should have a look at from the Telegraph with Gareth Caulfield. It's a nice little scoop he's got, was the plans for the Chinese embassy in London. It's got the unredacted version, and it shows that they've got an underground hidden, it's sort of like these hidden rooms, and one of them is 1 meter away to some of the main cabling from the telephone exchange in London, where you could tap into it and then get into God knows what kind of traffic. But it's actually very slick what they've done, because it's, a newspaper doesn't have all the resources of a TV channel, but they've got some nice animated graphics. Gareth Caulfield actually comes across perfectly well as a presenter on that as well. So if you're in the UK, have a look. It's on YouTube, so it's not behind a paywall. But it's again, I kind of find it amusing, because it's this thing of everyone goes, aren't authorities very competent, and they think far in advance to see what's going on, and it's like maybe they're not. Although, having said that, it might be that I don't know. Some people thinking, is this as big a worry as it's made out to be? But then again, I wonder why, how this is sort of got into Gareth's gaze, whether someone in the security, because there's some suggestion that maybe the security services had leaked this themselves because they were worried about it, and because MPs and the like weren't doing anything and maybe should be doing, because there is this thing of apparently the embassy that we have in China is crumbling. China keep cutting off the water supply and other stuff, and they're basically bullying us to say, well, you won't have an operational embassy unless you allow us to build this big, huge thing. So there's kind of lots of all that going on. But if there is a genuine national security thing there, then obviously it needs dealing with. But it does look very comedic, irrespective of what the real risks are there.
And it was in the Daily Mail too, so it must be true.
But also, I think that the drone associations in the UK are not being utilised, and I will be a bit critical, because the drone associations, if they are what they are supposed to be doing, they are supposed to be representing, whether it's the hobby or whether it's the professional side, but they should be the communication towards the authorities, and whatever grievance the public have, again, if it's the industry or whatever, they should be taking that there, and they should be the ones that are saying, this is not acceptable. We are, our members are experiencing this, and we need to do something about it. That doesn't.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in your heart. I'm trying to be groovy linking, but I'll cut out. If I was a member of one of those groups, I would ask them, what on earth are you going to do about the Nats and another company takeover of Altitude Angel? That's what I'd be asking them. I'd be furious about that. If I was a commercial operator in the UK, I'd be wanting because in some ways it's nothing to do with the CAA, but I want the CAA to assure me that no service that they might roll out for everybody to use in a mandatory style way was acquired in a dodgy fashion. That's what I allegedly. Thank goodness I got that word in there.
Yeah, but that is very, very important, and that's what the associations are there for. They are there to be the spokespeople, to be the spokes organizations for the community, whether it be professional or whether it be hobby or whatever. But those that are using, but they are members, and as I'm the board member, or I am a board member of ARPAS Finland, and as ARPAS Finland, I'm the representative to JEDA, to the Joint European Drone Association. So I know exactly what that's like, and we take that very, very seriously. So when an organization or a country comes to us to say we need to do something, or we want an answer, or we need, it is taken very seriously. So, and that's why I say this, because that's the role of the association.
And how do you think? How would you say your regulator takes that?
They do take it. They have to listen to us because they have accepted us as. So, for example, for example, ARPAS Finland is the main organization that speaks to Traficom in Finland, which is the CAA, and JEDA is the only association that can speak with the EASA. So when we have our board meetings with JEDA, we will usually have Natalie from EASA. He will usually be at the meeting for 1 or 2 hours or something, or whatever it is. Sometimes he's there in person, sometimes he's there remotely, but he will always be there, and he'll take our questions, he'll take our, and he has to take that. That has been agreed, So I don't, and of course, I cannot speak for the UK because I don't know what goes on in the UK. I'm not in the UK. But I think that pressure needs to be put onto the associations to deal with, for example, what you've been talking about with Altitude Angel and that takeover, and other issues as well. So so they have to pressure the CEA, and the CEA need to be able to. But again, I don't know if that's happening or not. I don't know. Maybe Simon in the chat can tell, or someone else. I don't know. But what is happening? What is happening? Because everyone's complaining, nothing seems to get done. But I know here and in Europe, when people do or organizations complain, we do something about it, and we put it forward.
I think people are frightened to. They're frightened to because of the commercial. Because people in those organizations tend to be like yourself, in a position where you need to use your drones, and they're worried about it. Not a single employee from Altitude Angel, 37 people made unemployed. Not a single one took the carrots that were offered for them from that merger. Not a single one wanted to jump ship.
Wow. And
some money was offered, I have heard, and they didn't take it. It does say something. It says a great deal.
I want to rewind 1 second, and then I'll go on this. It's something Bruce said quickly that I wanted to just go back on because it made me laugh today. It was one of those. It was one of those little sparks of joy that was just like it was just like justice. One of the reporters actually at the Daily Mail was grumbling on X. It goes about the Telegraph and going, they're exclusive because they put apparently, and they've did the link to it. I think about 6 or probably more, 6, 7, 8 months ago, I'd done a story saying there was hidden rooms under the Chinese embassy, and then it hadn't got traction. But then again, I thought, there was other journalists jumping in there going, how dare you, with the amount of stories you steal off everybody else. But I also thought, well, it's funny because you put out that much junk, including making out all the drone stuff to be men from Mars, that why would you expect us all to take seriously when you put that? So I thought you've kind of that's kind of karma for the way you behave with a lot of your stories, that when you do get something that's actually this probably needed looking into more and realizing the impact of it. If your other stories were done to a more less clickbaity standard, then we would have paid more attention. So I thought that just made me giggle. So that was nice for the day. Moving on to the Altitude Angel. As I think we've I don't know if we've said really on here, but I know we've said between us that if they just get the software, not the people, it's of limited value because you've got code there that you don't know how to maintain and to fix. All the quirks of and so on. So they will have an uphill struggle. And apparently that was supposed to be operational in December and wasn't. So they actually took a bit of time to get that online. I'd said at the very early on, as soon as this happened, I bet Nats are interested in getting this technology because they always seem to be after the altitude angel data without wanting to, I think, probably give them the full remuneration that you would expect for that. And so I do think it's a little bit odd that you've got a company there because they put on X that they had a memorandum of understanding to create airport software with this company that have acquired Altitude Angel. So it looks like it's a strategy to roll it out, potentially as part of. So you've got airport software with some capability of managing aircraft, but at the same time, then trying to plug in the Altitude Angel stuff for bits around the drone.
And insert micropayments, not only from flyers.
The press release was specifically mentioning about
I went away.
Monetization was the word. That classic word, monetization. So yeah, that's just. I mean, people were already kind of unhappy with Altitude Angel because they were seeing it as monetizing things, which is true to an extent. Because I did grill Richard on the show when he was on about that, but I do think of all the people in this domain wanting to do it, he was sort of the. He would stand by his arguments for it. I mean, airports are already charging anyway.
But if that's been done via platform, I think the difference, and this is where I think that I think that many people don't really. I think we see this from a different angle. Yes, they would be charging, but you're being charged anyway for certain places, for certain. If you want to fly airports or if you need to fly in certain areas and get, well, I think that if everything is put through a UTM, whether it be Altitude Angel or whatever, and you're being charged for that, you're not going through the usual or let's say old channels of going to the regulator and it taking longer and you're paying whatever it is, but you do this through the UTM and you're paying, let's say, the same, but you're getting it much quicker. So, I think so. So I'm speaking from someone who owns a company and doing that, and then we have to apply for, let's say, permissions, and knowing how the UTMs should be working because they've been saying this for years, blah blah blah, and of course nothing ever happens because it's all BS. But let's say in theory that's how it should work. So you should be able to just pull up your app, say I want to fly here, I need to fly here today. Whereas if you were not doing it via the UTM or whatever platform, you would need to do it 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before or whatever, and still paying that money. But now you're doing it and you get that instant. People don't seem to understand that yes, you have to pay anyway, and yes, you would have to pay through there, but it's more efficient, and you actually do your work. You can do your work. So if someone comes to you to say, I need you to fly there tomorrow. Whereas if you were doing that through the other channel, you would have to say, no, I can't because I need to get permission and I'm not going to have it done in time. So I can't fly there tomorrow. So you are losing out in a sense. But if you do it through the other way, still paying, but more efficient, and you get the job done. Everyone's happy.
Fair enough. No, it's true enough.
It's worth adding that Richard, he was aware of people's feeling on it as a matter of principle, but he was open to obviously things haven't matured enough to do this yet, but he was fully open to the idea that you could pay a monthly payment or annual payment, more like a kind of a Spotify where if you're having to do this all the time, instead of paying fees every time, where it feels like, oh wait a minute, this is adding a fair bit onto my job, that actually would become a trivial amount where you wouldn't even be bothered. And that's that's where you'd want to be if you were paying something and that it's pennies. or at worst a couple of pounds. You don't want it where you're thinking about I'm trying to price this job up and come away with some profit, and this could be the difference between doing it or not.
I was just gonna tell you to I was just gonna say your alarm is screwed. That's how I was gonna end this. But hasn't that said it anyways? Yeah, yes. Yeah, it's a bit more than that YouTube commentator. But we won't go into that now. Just the industry's got to watch out, and it is going to affect New Zealand as well. Tell us about the alarm, Bruce, before we go.
Yeah, it's been busy talking. I put voice into the ADSB alarm because I was out there. I had it with me the other day. Well, no, a couple of weeks ago now, and I was flying at a park without an observer, FPV, completely illegally. Don't worry, I've stashed the body safely, and it started beeping, and I thought, this isn't optimal because I don't know where. I know there's an aircraft in the warning zone, but I don't know which direction it's coming from, how high it is, how long it's going to take to get here, and if I should even be worried because it may be just skirting through the perimeter. So I thought, why don't I put voice in it? So now I have updated the code so that it talks to you, and you can keep your goggles on, and it tells you where the aircraft's coming from, how long before it reaches you, and the height, the speed, all that sort of stuff. The important information you need to know when an aircraft enters the warning zone. And it also says that it's all clear if there's nothing being tracked, because you want to make sure the battery hasn't gone flat and it's still working. So and that means I can take out the LCD screen, which is a cost and an extra power and extra size and weight, and I can use a Raspberry Pi 02W, which is so cheap and so small. So one of those and an SDR stick, and you can use a Bluetooth speaker like this if you've got the proper Raspberry Pi. Yep. And or just a little speaker and an amp that's wired up to it. So even here in New Zealand, the total cost can be around $100 now for the basic system. And they've got the new Raspberry Pi 5, the 1 gigabyte version, and this software uses less than 512 bytes. So that will be useful because it's $75 New Zealand, which is probably, I don't know, maybe 40 something dollars US. So it's getting cheaper, even though we've got RAM prices going through the roof and all that sort of stuff.
So when are we going to get ready to come on? Here it is. It's ready to go. When are we getting?
Yeah. I've just got to spend a few more days in the field using it to make sure that it's reliable. Then I'll throw it out there and everyone can run with it. Do what you like.
Ray. And on that positive note, almost in an advertising sort of way, it's taken us over the hour, but that's all good.
Yeah, well, I got a second.
Here we go. Hang on. Right, crack on, everyone. Yeah.
I just want to translate a post here I'll just take a screenshot and then then you can show it. But because it's answering that comment that's in the chat. I'll say.
You think you'd be better prepared, don't you?
But no, it's perfectly. No, it's more than prepared for this stream. The dear viewer knows that.
True.
If we were to be prepared, then something would be wrong. That is it's just not on.
Now here we go, image file.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's just making up a new song with AI.
I have
got.
It's got to be one. It's been a long time since any songs have been released.
There is a song done, but these Google glasses I'm using.
There's nothing there.
Music video, you see. So there we go. So they have put themselves that they have this memorandum of understanding with NATS, which has just been signed. Within the same weeks that they have acquired Altitude Angels technology. So irrespective, they are clearly friends.
It's the commercial division.
Maybe it's just a way of making sure that they have nullified any competition that could have been scooped up by somebody else. And
I've gone. I went. Where did I leave that? I said it's the commercial division. I do know stuff I can't say.
And he's gone again. Oh yes, he's being censored now.
Worried. Censored.
Gary,
when you pause for that.
Gary, when are you having Richard on?
It's a concise
He
reply.
said about too fast and he's doing the bit rate. That's what's doing it.
Yeah, it's what it is. If he
Yeah.
shaved his beard off, there'd
Yeah,
be less detail, so you get.
Yeah.
I will ask that again.
I'll go.
Gary, when are we having Richard on?
Oh, I'll ask him. But I probably not. You know, there's still things going on, and he's sore about it.
It'd be pretty
but-
disheartening, wouldn't it? Putting all that effort and money and time of your part of your life into it, and then basically finding yourself where you are now.
being
I know
shafted
some
by
things,
a.
but I don't think I'm allowed to say anything.
No, you're not.
I'll
You're
be in
not.
trouble.
You will be in trouble. You will be in trouble. But and similarly they will. But it'll be interesting trying to unwrap this and find various.
All clear.
If anyone's got
So how
10p
long-
to put in the meter, then we can get that to Gary.
I know. I don't know what. There's nothing I can do to make this any better. This bog off, Clifford.
Instead of waiting for it to stop before you put the 5p in, why don't you put the 5p in advance?
It's just not going as well as it should. So, dear viewer, wherever you are in the world, look after yourselves. We'll see you again, 2100 Gin and Tonic next week. Go well, everybody. Look